You see, we're at NAMM 2023, and it doesn't get more Scottish than this. What? Look, it's Paul III. And look. So let's go in to NAMM and check out what is new and nutritious at NAMM 2023.
Hey guys, it's Joe. I'm here with a friend of mine, Eric. We met at NAMM, I think it's 2 or 3 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
I saw this and I just had to demo it, and honestly, I bought it immediately. I had to have it. Then I had to have 2. I bought that. Then I had to buy that. So I'm a big fan of Eric and his designs. And what's new this year for you guys?
So nothing just for Locomotive, but I've done a collaboration project with Louder Than Liftoff. So if you're not familiar, this is called the Silver Bullet down here. It's a stereo processing unit that has gotten really popular over the last few years, and you can read about it all over the internet, and everybody's using them now. So basically what I've done is I've designed a module that goes inside of it, and it allows you to have tube compression inside of the Silver Bullet, which is something that we didn't think that we were going to be able to achieve.
So when you say tube compression, you're talking about actual tube doing the compression, like a variable
Right,
mute?
that's a variable mute style
nice.
compressor inside
Which
of there.
seems to be your strength.
That is where that's my wheelhouse.
No, okay, so I've got 2 of these, and it's crazy because I get that variable mute tone, but I get adjustable attack and release, almost like an 1176.
Right.
You know, so it's so flexible. Now the one right under it, I don't have.
The weight tank.
The weight tank. What's the difference? And now that's still variable mute, right?
It's a very mute compressor. It's not based on any previously.
Right.
There's no historical lineage.
So
for
what's
it.
the difference between that, the weight tank, and the 14B?
14B is much faster.
Okay.
It can do 300 microsecond attack speed to 10 millisecond attack speed.
Okay.
Whereas the weight tank starts its fastest is about 12 to 15 milliseconds.
Okay.
So kind of more in the opto range.
Should I expect that same warm, rich tone?
You will still get that warm, rich tone, but I would say that overall it's more of a harmonic unit.
All right.
You can get a lot more coloration just from the harmonics and not just the compression curve. Where the 14B sort of lies.
I've already spent so much money with you. I guess we'll probably be spending more. Reserve that for me.
Okay. Yes, sir.
All right, Eric, thanks for talking to us.
All right, thank you very much.
Appreciate it, buddy.
So we're at Austrian Audio. This is Kurt Richter.
Hi.
Wie geht es dir? Good?
Mir geht's gut, danke. Ich hoffe dir auch.
Good. I'm a sehr beschäftigt, of course. You know.
Wow.
Yeah, busy as ever. But we've got the OD5, which Eric and I have been working on a video. It's not released yet, so this is going to be before it. We really like this mic.
Cool.
Rather good. So why don't you, who actually knows more about it than me, I just know how to plug it in. Tell us about
Which is already cool to know. No, I mean the microphone is meant to be used with instruments mainly, close miking.
Yeah.
So we have the condenser version, which is the OC7, and the active dynamic version, the OD5. So it kind of follows the same principle like with the handhelds.
Yeah.
So we decided to do an active design because phantom power nowadays is no problem.
Absolutely.
So it helps. It's basically an amplifier built into the microphone that fits perfectly to the capsule, and it gives you more output from the microphone, and it allows you to have kind of a nice low cut and pad switch on the microphone, which is not possible on a passive design, because depending on the cable and the preamp you use, you would never know where the center frequency of the low cut is.
Oh, okay.
It would move, but in this case, no. And here with
So it's an active dynamic microphone, allowing you to do all these additional things.
all the switching.
I'm sure the guys can get a close-up shot as well, but yeah. So
So you have a pad switch. The maximum that dBSPL is somewhere 160 or 155. So you probably won't find a way to distort this microphone.
Yep.
And we have a low cut setting. with 80 and 120 hertz. And the 80 hertz filter is something special. We call it the cap filter.
Right.
It stands for cut and boost. So
okay.
it's kind of a little bit of the
Like a tape bias. Yeah, so kind of like
idea, right? So you
yeah.
get rid of the rumble that you don't need, and at the same time you kind of help the low frequencies and the ground. The
That'd be interesting. Bass at the 80. So it's cutting at 80, but is it also pushing up in the same area?
So and that helps you on cabinets,
Yeah.
on amplifiers, on toms, on snare drum, because usually you would do that on the EQ. I had a feedback from a double bass player who said he loved this this feature. He's more or less a finished signal by just using the low cut. Many times you have two.
That makes sense.
round.
I know. I love that idea. I mean, Dave Jordan would always say to me when mixing on an SSL, always boost and cut at the same frequency. So you kind of get an enhancement of the same area, and it really helps the fundamental. So it's cool. So it's an 80 and 120.
And the 120 is a normal low cut. And the 80 is exactly what you said, just to help the fundamental tone and get rid of the rumble.
Right. And then, of course, what we loved about it when we were using it is this infinitely adjustable head here. So great on drums.
On drums, on the guitar amplifier. If you're doing close miking, positioning is really the key.
Sure.
Sometimes the position makes more of a difference than using another mic.
Great.
A centimeter on a guitar cabinet is a different tone, right? On the speaker. So it helps you to really adjust the microphone properly in every angle, right? Without loosening the microphone stand.
Yeah.
And especially on drums, if you have a lot of stands going on, it's sometimes annoying to go under the snare. Then the whole stand craps and.
Well, the other thing is here is like you're showcasing one of our favorite companies, Try It Orbit, where I'm sure you've seen on our channel. You can get one stand and have like 15 things coming off it. So it's a great combination.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Super stable stuff.
And we're giving one of these away.
Yes.
There will be a link down below. It's a raffle copter, which means every time you do an action, like you tweet about it or whatever, you get more entries. So, but you don't have to. You can just get an email address. And you can also, because we're GDPR compliant, you can opt in to win it and not actually we won't keep your email address. But if you want to be on our email list or Austrian Audios, please, you can do that too. Oh, this is wonderful. Thank you, Kurt.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Hey Matt, nice to meet you.
Ed, nice to
Produce
meet
Like
you.
a Pro. Are you excited to be here?
Love it, love it. This is my second NAMM. This one's looking great. It's full of people, and we're psyched. We have some new products that we're really, interested in talking about.
Amazing. This is my first NAMM, so I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome.
I'm a fan of your products. I've got various compressors of yours. I've had the preamp, just good quality, good sounding gear. What's your new release?
So this is the 2-channel version of our new release. This is the WA MPX. This is the 2 MPX 2-channel stereo, and this is based on the famous 351 style of tape machine 2 preamps. So kind of famously, folks would rip those preamps out after the tape machines got out of production and start to run audio through them because they realized they loved the sound. Thing's wild, man. 3 tubes per channel, 90 dB of gain per
90.
channel. 90. 300 volts, more than 10 times the volts of a 73 style preamp.
Wow.
Crazy. Yeah. So what we actually have set up here is we have this little station where you can run stereos through. You can record on the way in with it. Of course, it sounds great. But right now, we're using it like a color box on program material. Sounds incredible. You have 4 gain stages, input, output. You have a high gain, which takes it from 70 up to 90. And then you have a tape sat. The tape sat button basically starves the voltage on it a little bit and gives you that sort of natural compression and a little bit less headroom in the sense that you get a little bit more high frequency roll off.
Is it saturation compression?
It is.
Okay.
It is, yeah.
And is that affecting the EQ at all?
A little bit, yeah. I would say that it bumps the low pass a little bit further down. You also have an additional 2K low pass filter here. So what a lot of people will do is they'll kind of take each channel and bring up the high and the low pass filters, and now you have like a lo-fi box. So if you want to take drums to like a really nice lo-fi setting, and actually in practice, I'd literally run live automation on it and just sat there and said, oh, I want the drums to back off and flip all 4 switches. It's awesome. Yeah.
Cool.
Feel these switches, man. I'm telling you, get in there.
Feels good. Feels good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the tone doing?
The tone is actually an input transformer and impedance switch.
Okay.
So we labeled that because it would be really intimidating, right, if we wrote all that on this metal. But what you're doing is you're taking, I don't know if we could fit it. We could barely fit anything else. But we're going from 600 ohms to 150. So I find that sounds really awesome on ribbons and low output microphones. Brings out a little bit more presence.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So it's doing a lot in one box.
Oh yeah, a lot. And of course, the best part, right? Like right now, so these are at €14.99 right now, $13.99 US. It's a ton of product, right, per channel, especially given that it's a 90 dB all tube preamp.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Look forward to hearing it.
Awesome, man. Ed,
Nice
great
to meet you. Yeah, thanks.
So we're here with Glenn Fricker and our good friend Alex Nasler, and they have a really exciting new bass plugin that they're actually showing. So it's not coming out. When's it coming out?
It's not coming out for a while because we have other stuff we have to come out first.
We need to get Prism out the door.
It is done.
That's the sign of a great company.
Yeah.
That's quality problem.
Well,
It's what's known as a quality
yeah.
problem. But it's really exciting. We've got Paul Third here, who's a tough person to please. No, the thing that we love about it is it's doing all the things that you want in one plugin. As if you've watched any of me ever mixing a bass, I'll take a DI, split it into 2, sometimes 3 signals, and then do 3 sets of processing. They've decided to do all of that in one plugin. And Paul and I like that idea because A, it's in one plugin, and B, also because they're not relying on that kind of BS world of trying to make it look like some vintage piece of equipment just to fool people into it. I have a problem with that because to me it should be, if you're 13 years old and you've got your first DAW, you want to get in and you don't need this barrier of entry where you have to figure out why something's called a 19742 and it's a clone of or whatever. I don't need to know that anymore. You just want to get straight in and make good music.
And we even made the names not something that's like oh yeah, this is this amp or this is this amp.
Yeah.
You'll get an idea just from like modern vintage. Okay,
I need to support this because one of the things that really talking to Matt McGlynn at Roswell, he brings out the mini K67 and say K47, which we all know is one of the best sounding microphones. And he originally brought it out and it was a slow seller. And then his marketing guy says, you've got to call it 47 or 67 because then people will take notice. And that's the sad world we live in, that somebody has an innovative product, but you have to pretend it's a clone of something to get people to notice. And anybody that's not doing that now, I'm fully behind. Because 13-year-old kids don't need to know that.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody, dude, forget it. Nobody needs to know that.
Nobody needs to do that.
Yeah, that's.
They don't need that stigma.
Yeah, exactly.
We gotta go in 5 minutes.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So this has been wonderful. Stay tuned. Exciting new stuff from these gentlemen here.
Yes.
Hey guys, it's Joe with Produce Like a Pro. I'm so proud to be with my friend today, Colin. I met Colin in 1999 in Nashville at a Digidesign. Do you remember that?
Yep.
At the tracking room.
Yep.
Man, we had a lot less gray hair.
We're still 35.
We had a lot less gray hair then. But anyway, I've been a long time user. I mean, yours was the first EQ. I've told him this many times. The very first EQ inside of Pro Tools that I turned, I was like, oh, okay. All of a sudden, this is the real deal. It doesn't sound like everything else sounded at that time, which was terrible. Let's just be honest. His was the first thing that just really took, I think, in the box mixing to a whole new level. And I use Filter Bank, MC2000, all that stuff on every mix I do. I swear to this day. But what we're here to talk about right now, just tell us what's exciting. Tell us what's exciting and new in your world.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, there it is.
The KD1. Everybody says, Colin, I love that analog processing box that you made. Digital controlled from a plug-in, but it's all the analog processing underneath. Oh yeah, who wouldn't want that? But I want to have complete control over all the analog saturation characteristics in the plugin. Oh, okay, can we call it the KD1 and make it red? Well, great, here it is. So, drive, a couple of saturation modes. You can focus the distortion in any of the frequency spectrum regions you want. It even has a kinetic knob, so if you're kind of like a real analog saturation snob and you like your compression / voltage sag thing where there's some kind of like living, breathing, dynamic process that happens in conjunction with the saturation process, oh, we got that too. By the way, it's all in the analog domain. Bam! There's even a wet-dry control, so you can do the classic, distort the crap out of it, bring back the original. I know what I'm doing. I'm just like Joe, except I don't do it for a living. There's reasons for that. Anyway, there we go. That's new for the show, the KD1. And it's free to all registered owners of an APB hardware product.
Wow. You know what I've got to do? I've got to become a registered owner of the APB.
We can work on that too.
If only I knew a place. If only knew and a guy. But listen, here's one cool thing I know. I've met him several times, and this is always the Colin I've seen. Cameras rolling or not rolling, he's always this excited, always this happy about your products. And that, man, I think that says a lot. You know, when somebody is just can't wait to talk to people about what, you know, about what they're doing, about what they're excited about. You know, that person's proud of it. They put their heart and their soul into it, live by it, live it every day. Just like we do as mixers, you know, we're fully invested in that mix we're working on. He's fully invested in this crap 24/7. I promise you. I know that for a fact. So Colin, honored to know you, buddy.
Ditto, back to you, sir.
Thanks for showing us your new stuff.
Thanks for having me.
All right, buddy.
Hi, I'm Matt from Avid,
And I'm Gil from Avid.
and we have some new things we're going to show you. First of which is, of course, the Mbox, and Gil is the expert on the Mbox. So,
All right, so yeah, Mbox Studio, we released it towards the end of the year last year. Kind of our foray back into desktop audio interfaces. Really cool USB-C based box, gives you lots of analog ins, analog outs, digital connectivity, 4 mic pre's built into it, 2 on the front panel, 2 on the back. Got something called Variable Z for all the analog inputs that you're going into that basically help you to emulate the analog gear that you're trying to plug into in the virtual world. So like, for instance, I got a guitar plugged into the front panel here, bring up a guitar, like a tube guitar amp. It really wants to see like a 1 mega ohm kind of resistive load on the front end. Well, I can set that with our Variable Z. Or if I put something like a tube screamer up front, that wants to see something more in like the 70K range. So I can then switch the Variable Z to that. So as an actual player, it feels more like the hardware that you're actually plugging into, which is pretty unique to what we do. Mbox Studio also has a really comprehensive monitoring section on it. So we have the ability to have like a main stereo set of monitor outs, an alt stereo set of monitor outs, plus its own Bluetooth set of monitor outs. So you can hook up your favorite pair of earbuds, or like we've got this little JBL Bluetooth speaker here that we can have to kind of have different monitoring sections. It's got ADAT, it's got 2 independent headphones, so a lot of functionality. Comes with Pro Tools, comes with Sibelius, comes with a lot of great software, especially for some of the new stuff that we just introduced recently.
indeed. So there are, as of the latest Pro Tools release, there are 2 main new creative functions. And the first is called the Sonic Drop. And the Pro Tools Sonic Drop, it's a monthly content program where if you're an active subscriber to Pro Tools or you're on a perpetual license, every month you get free sample content for free. And also, I mean, I'm very biased because I make it all myself. So, and I am known as being a sound designer. So we are giving you all of that just for free, included with your subscription or your license. But also we have a brand new instrument called PlayCell. And PlayCell, I mean, if you want to zoom into it here, it looks very cute and minimal. But PlayCell is essentially, it's a sample playback engine. And while it has a lot of like bread and butter, you know, you got some basic pianos and, you know, some basic guitars, harmonics, things like that. There also is like a whole plethora of really cool synthesized sounds that I personally made. And a lot of it was taking like vintage, like cool analog synthesizers, running them through effects pedals, multi-sampling it, and you get some really, really like high-end sounding things basically in a very, very simple plugin to use. And it sounds really great. And it's also just totally included. There is no upcharge for this. Now it's just something that we're really trying to do at Avid. And I think that's really obvious or I hope it's obvious, is that we're really making a big push towards creators. And we focused on post for so long. And, you know, regrettably, I feel like we probably left like the creators and especially like the younger independent musicians, we didn't really give them, you know, as much attention as we should have. And I'd like to think we're really making up for it now. And I'm excited by the stuff that we're giving them. I personally use the stuff in my own work now, and it sounds really great. So check out the Sonic Drop for a constant monthly program of new sample content, and check out PlayCell. It's really easy and it sounds great.
So we're here at Antelope with Nick. How are you?
Hi, Warren. I'm very well. Nice to meet you in person.
Lovely to be met in person. Good to meet you too. So Antelope are giving us a sneak peek of their new speaker. I've not seen it before. Tell us all about it.
In fact, the very first speaker
that
we've ever made. Yeah, and I mean, obviously people know us for the interfaces, you know, for the mastering grade converters. Some people may know us for the interface, for the effects, for the mics.
Yeah.
But that's something really new for us. So we had to make sure that we make it really good, right? So there's been a lot of attention to the detail here, a lot of effort to address those small things that really matter.
I'm trying to figure out what's going on here.
That's the big thing,
Gotta
isn't
bring
it?
the camera over,
So,
Eric. This is confusing.
have a look at this. There's 2 loudspeakers on the inside for the low frequencies, right?
Yeah.
It may look like it's a 2-way speaker, but really it's a 3-way speaker with 4 drivers. Now,
Wow.
the bass response goes all the way down to 35 hertz, and it's flat to 35 hertz,
Okay.
right? And it can do insane amounts of SPO. Now, how do we achieve that with such a small driver? Well, the whole thing is, you know, the name of the speakers is Atlas i8. That stands for isobaric 8-inch, right? What is that whole isobaric technology? Well, that enclosure here is fully sealed, and at the back of it, you've got the second driver. Now, if the second driver was not there, you would create a lot of pressure once the speaker moves, you know, to the back or even to the front, right? There's going to be a big change in pressure. However, with the second driver at the back, we're able to keep the pressure constant. And that allows us to get a lot more power out of the whole thing and really extend the bass response. And you know what? It costs quite a bit to actually to construct this beast.
Okay.
And we could have done the same thing by just getting a bigger driver and a bigger enclosure. But then imagine if you want to build like an Atmos room or something like that, that's not going to be comfortable. It's going to be too large. So, you know, one of the primary goals is to get massive low end, true low end, but in a small enclosure, relatively small. They're like over 20 kilos. Yeah. So it's a serious loudspeaker. Now, as I said, it's actually a 3-way speaker. So you've got the low frequency driver, then that's the tweeter and the mid range here in a single coaxial driver.
Okay. Yeah.
And as I will tell you in a sec, actually a lot of effort was put in to have a linear phase and a really, really good transient response. Because you would know, you know, if you have a good speaker and the transient's right, you get the definition, you get the punch, it really hits you in the chest, right?
Yeah.
It's a tight and punchy, defined sound. And, you know, the coaxial driver helps a lot with that because the mids and the highs are aligned already in the driver. But that's not going to be the case for all the drivers altogether. And every speaker is going to have some phase distortions, right? And what we do here is we actually correct for that. And now, let me tell you how we do that.
How do you do that?
When you look at the back, actually you're going to find something like an Antelope mastering grade interface built into the loudspeaker. You've got a digital input and you've got an analog input, yeah? However, even if you go straight into the analog, it's still going to go into the digital circuits, right? So there's a built-in mastering grade converter. As I said, it works natively at 192. You can't change it. That's what it works at. So it's a very high sample rate converter. Once you go in, you get through the circuitry. There is an FPGA chip inside that does the equalization, so it can give you the flat response. But as I said, that's not the most important thing. It's much more important to have a really clear and defined transient response. And we achieve that by combining both FIR and IAR filters. And each one of these can do different things, and it has its, you know, specifics. It can actually introduce some artifacts if each of these filters are not used in a wise way. And actually, to avoid these kind of artifacts, we're combining both of these together. So we're building on our legacy of audio interfaces and signal processing and our knowledge of analog circuitry to actually create something that we think is really, really special.
See, now I want to hear it.
You must hear it, and it's just over there.
Okay.
And obviously I should say that that clear panel is not going to be there in the actual...
No, I understand, but...
That's just so you can see what happens inside.
Interesting.
I can tell you a bit more about it, actually.
Yeah, please tell me more.
So we designed the amplifier.
How powerful is this?
Oh, 400
Talking about
watt,
400 watts.
And it can do something like over 115 dB SPO. So you really don't, you can damage your hearing with that. What I can tell is that we built the amplifier on this side. So it's a Class D amp, but it was designed by Igor Levin. So he really wanted a really good amplifier inside.
Okay.
Also, another thing that we thought a lot about is there's very thick walls here. So it's MDF, but it's very thick. You know, most loudspeakers won't have that thick walls. And we further reinforce them with ribs, like you can't really see it. Yeah, it is heavy.
It's heavy.
It is heavy.
Okay.
So acoustically, you know, the enclosure's been treated really well. And we're gonna also have an optional bracket system here.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to put that on your ceiling, you know, for an Atmos setup or something like that, that's also gonna be, you know, a breeze.
Okay, I'm excited to hear them. So what do you got going on here, Nick?
That's the Around 32 Plus Generation 4. And you would know that this is the first ever one-unit interface with 32 analog inputs and outputs.
Wow.
And it's been our best-selling device for so many years now.
Congratulations.
And it just came the moment that we needed to move on and, upgrade it. Mostly because the previous one was Thunderbolt 2. This one is now Thunderbolt 3.
Lovely.
And at some point it was just impossible to build them. But also what the Thunderbolt 3 allows us to do is to bring up the channel count to 128. So what you can do now is daisy chain 4 of these guys and have 128 channels of analog inputs and outputs in your system in a 4-unit rack.
Congratulations.
That's awesome. That is really cool. I'm really excited about that. There's a few other new features. Obviously, the conversion and the analog circuit has been updated. There's better dynamic range, lower harmonic distortion figures. So that's a good thing. Another thing actually is the remote control. And that is a new product that we're releasing as of, we're announcing it today, basically.
Yeah.
That is going to work with our Galaxy 32, but also with this Orion, right?
Okay.
And that is a multi-channel, mostly aimed at the Atmos people, but you can use it for any kind of immersive or, multi-channel audio. You've got the standard, solo mute functions for all your speakers here.
Yeah.
But there's also a really clever preset system on the top.
Okay.
For fast recall of different setups. So you could have, we've got the speaker management system built into these devices now. So you can do like speaker equalization, gain, time delay, that kind of stuff. But what you feed in that, you might want to feed different sources, or you may want to change, the configuration or something like that. So with these buttons, you're going to be able to do it very quickly. And previously, a device like that would take a little while to record the settings. So we did a lot of work to be able to actually do this almost instantaneously. So it doesn't interrupt your workflow. And you can quickly change your setup. You're feeding Protos into your, Atmos, management. Oh, now you feed something else just by a press of a button. That's basically where we are going there. You could even change the speaker EQ settings or something like that if you wanted to.
It's great. So you can, all these presets can be saved over here.
Yes. Yeah.
5 different settings.
Correct.
Great. Absolutely amazing. I love it. It's very simplistic, quite
very
light.
Simple. USB. You connect it straight to your computer, actually.
Okay.
And it's literally, that's what it is. It's just a remote control for the control panel of the Orion and the Galaxy 32.
Amazing.
Yeah, I should mention that the Atmos functionality is going to be optional.
Okay.
Where actually in the Galaxy is a built-in feature.
Okay.
Yes.
Lovely.
Hey Sean, Ed from Produce Like a Pro.
Nice to meet you, Ed.
How are you doing? So off the back of your successful Camden 500 series preamp, everyone raves about the Mojo setting on those preamp, and of course your ADAT and RE is RS?
500 R8, yep.
R8
exactly.
interface lunchbox.
Yep.
You've just launched the Carnaby, which is a harmonic EQ.
Yes, the world's first.
Can you tell our audience what a harmonic EQ is?
Well, think about it like this, Ed. So there's a lot of what people want to do is they want to get analog, color, and character on their recordings.
Yeah.
Right. The thing with analog character is it's like you're looking at transformer gear or tube gear or tape saturation plugins and stuff like that. Those are all broadband devices. So those will operate across the entire frequency range, and you don't get granular control of specific frequency ranges in specific areas where you might want that. So as an example, like transformer saturation is quite nice on low end, a lot of people like it. It can also bring a nice presence into it. But sometimes what it can do is on the extreme sub bass, it can make your low end a little woofy or a little, something like that. As an example, tubes can sometimes destroy some of your high frequencies, but do really good stuff in the mid bands, so on and so forth, right? So our premise was, wouldn't it be great is if you could control genuine analog harmonic saturation, but you would control an EQ. So for instance, you could choose frequencies, you could choose how much you want, you could also cut as well, but still add harmonics. So that's what an harmonic EQ does, basically. Every other analog EQ that's ever been made uses phase to equalize a signal.
Yeah.
Carnaby uses harmonics to equalize a signal.
Ooh.
So a completely different approach, never been tried before, never been done before.
All right, can you demonstrate this? Let's have a listen.
Yeah. So basically, I have all the Carnabys active here. So this is so we have 4 stereo groups here. So these are all done as stereo EQs using our OptoSync feature. This is a drum group.
This is actually a bass group. It's a mono signal, but split into stereo. And then this is an instrument group. So this is guitars and synths, and this is a vocal group.
Okay.
So I have these all active right now, but I'll bypass them one by one so you can hear what it does when you turn them off. So you see how that's off.
Yeah.
So now if I enable them again, you feel the energy it brings into the track.
I can really hear it on the low end. Just creates this full richness, and the vocals just have a warm presence coming through.
Exactly, and a little bit of that top end sheen.
Yeah.
So again,
a lot more clarity in the mix.
Exactly. So it's a 3-band EQ effectively, right? So the way I've been EQing this is the drums. I'm adding a little bit of low end. In the mid band, I'm adding a little bit of around 1.5K for clarity. And then I have the high band set to 5K, 6K, where the snare snap is.
Yeah, okay.
So it's bringing all that in the drum group. On the bass group, I'm taking out all the mids to make room for everything else.
Okay.
Now, normally when you do that on EQ, you lose all the clarity in the instrument. You just lose the body of the instrument.
But this is just taking the harmonics out.
Well, this is just taking the fundamental out and then adding harmonics around it.
Okay.
So it's taking away the woofy stuff that you don't want, but then in its place, it's generating harmonically related content that rounds out the sound. So the peak level will go down, but the RMS level stays the same.
All right.
So you don't lose all the body of your instrument.
Yeah, okay.
It fills it out, even though you're cutting.
Wow. And you mentioned OptoSync. Is this where you're literally working off one on each pair? Exactly. So you don't have to go through 8, you can just go through one on each side?
Exactly. So OptoSync is a wireless communication technology. Basically, the slave module, I have an OptoSync enabled on this module. It's receiving its control data from this module.
Yeah.
So these are all digital controls, basically. But but the circuit's all analog. So when I mess with this one, because OptoSync is enabled, this one's also being affected as well. So you can make stereo EQs, but you can make a 5-1 array. You can make a summing mixer where they're all synced if you wanted to. But the obvious one is stereo pairs, like we have it set up here.
Now, is the sync option only enabled on the Cranborne lunchboxes?
Well, it's enabled. It's on the modules. So you could do that with any 500 series rack.
As long as they link at the back?
Well, no, because it doesn't use the backplane. It's a wireless communication protocol. So basically, you just enable OptoSync. There's LEDs on this side. There's receivers on this side. It gets all the control data across.
Right, gotcha.
So I could be in any 500 series rack as long as they're right next to each other. Enable OptoSync, and now you have a stereo EQ.
Wow. Okay. That's taken 500 in a new direction.
Yep. That's what we like doing, Ed. Innovating.
Right. Yeah. Well, we'd love to try some in the studio if possible.
We'd love to do that, Ed. Yeah.
Excellent.
We'd love to make that happen.
Sean, thank you very much.
Thanks for coming to see us.
Appreciate
Ed.
your time.
Have a great show.
Likewise.
Cheers, guys.
Hey, Joey, Ed with Produce Like a Pro.
Nice to meet you.
What have you brought to the NAMM show this year?
We have our newest 3rd generation preamps. So we got the TRP3 and the RPQ3 over here. We'll get to that. But so this is just the half rack version of the TRP 500. We updated the circuitry. It's beautiful, more musical, the most musical thing we've ever made. It's a blast. And a simple 60 dB per octave high pass filter at 115 and at 230. We got a super high input impedance of 68K. Anything you could ever want. Very simple. And then over here,
And are these designed impedance-wise to go with your ribbon microphones?
They're designed to work very well with ribbons, even vintage ribbons. But of course, they work great on every microphone.
Right.
Yeah.
Good answer.
If it works good on a ribbon, it'll work good on everything.
And how's the 500 series going for you?
The 500 series is great. Everybody loves it. It's beautiful.
Think of more questions. Can I touch it?
Yeah.
So is there a difference in power supply between the usually 16 volt versus sometimes 24 volt hardware stuff?
Well, so we have a switching power supply, so we have the same, it's always going to be the same power going to these. So yeah, we got the 16 volt rails on the 500 series, and then plus or minus 16 on this as well.
Okay, so you match
switching
them.
power supply, yeah.
Right.
So yeah, with this guy, you don't gotta switch anything when you go to Europe or anything like that. It'll do it automatically on its own because it's switching power supply. But on the linear, you gotta switch the fuse, and we do that before sending it out. But if you're traveling back and forth, we added on the back a very simple switch. They go from 115 to 230. You just switch the fuses out. You're good to go.
All right, let's have a look at the rack, rack ones.
So we expanded the EQ section with boost and cut on both the high and low frequencies, and then a frequency sweep as well. So you have an EQ bypass, low frequency boost and cut, low frequency selection, high frequency boost and cut, high frequency selection. They can individually be in and out. You can in and out the whole thing to bypass it, and then a 10 dB range so that you can more finely adjust the EQ that you're dialing in.
Okay, so plenty of flexibility.
Yeah.
Where do you think these sit in the market? Who's your target?
I mean, with these newer designs, especially as we, instead of going to negative infinity for the output to have it go to 0, this is really good for our stereo mics. So the 88s we have back there, it allows you to finally dial in channel to channel and have a lot of consistency and repeatability. Not have to worry about exactly where the output knob was placed, because if it's at 0, you're good to go, and you can repeat. And
are these okay? So they're sweeping.
That's
their
a
steps.
that's a step. Yeah.
Wonderful. Can we hear them on your website?
Soon you will be able to.
All right. Stay tuned.
Just launched.
Audio examples coming soon.
Yes. But you can check out our website. We got spec sheets up. We got everything.
All right. Amazing. Thanks, Joey.
Nice to meet you.
Best of luck with the products.
Thanks.
Hey, Ryan. Ed with Produce Like a Pro. So we're back in AudioScape land right now, and you've got your brand new, is it the ASA 6A?
That's correct.
Talk me through the ASA 6A.
So the AS6A is 7 transformers.
7?
It's all of the original tubes that were used in the RCA VA6A.
Right.
We added in a couple of new features, high pass filter, negative feedback for when you want that edgier sound to it.
Okay.
We've also added threshold control as well as attack and release to bring it up into a modern
There's a very
feel.
new with attack and release settings.
That's correct.
Rather than fixed kind of non-linear.
Yeah. Well, we wanted to make
ratios.
sure that it was something that had use in today's feel, but still pay homage to the original beast that it was.
That's great. So kind of modernizing
Just a
the
little
classic.
bit, yeah.
So this is a beast of a unit. How much does it weigh?
It weighs 32 pounds.
About 15 kilos.
Yes, it's all steel. The just like the original, we have the front door that opens, the front panel comes off, and this chassis can actually be removed from the tray altogether.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, solid steel. I love her.
I was wondering what the hinges were about. Beautiful. And what, 4U?
5U, actually.
5U, okay.
Yes.
So where do you feel this fits in the market with all the current available compressors? Because I didn't hear of the 6A before this, so this is a nice blast from the past.
It stands alone.
Excellent answer. I like that. There's nothing like it.
There's nobody's out making anything even close to this right now, and we wanted to make sure she had her debut and stand alone.
Fantastic. And favorite application for it?
Drums and vocals work really well as well. Sounds great with piano as well.
Right.
It's got a great usability all the way around the tracking process.
Wow, fantastic. All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, with Freddie at HEDD, how are you?
It's nice to see you.
Good to be seen. So what do you have?
Oh my God, we have
Tons of stuff.
monitors and we have headphones.
Monitors and headphones.
What about the headphones?
I said monitors and headphones. This is great.
Yeah, we do both of them, and they are actually like sonically very, very close to each other.
Okay.
Because they're all based on the motion transformers.
Yeah, the AMC. So I see that here and here.
Yeah, exactly. So this was like one of the biggest things we did in last year was to figure out how to turn the tweeter technology into like full range device for headphones.
Nice.
It's like a breakthrough for us, and it sort of showed us that we should also sort of transform into a headphone manufacturer next to the speakers that we made.
Nice.
It's really
Lovely.
exciting. Yeah.
When are these out?
These came out like 2.5 years ago already.
Oh, because I tried them last time.
Yeah.
At the show.
You remember what you thought about them?
Yeah. So they're out. You guys are in Sweetwater, aren't you?
We're on Sweetwater.
Yeah, great. Perfect.
Seeing all the good
And
stores.
then I was just joking with Freddie off camera that every time I watch any of our videos, the head ads running on our videos, which is very nice. Our ad revenue went up, so thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. Yeah. This is
So tell us about the speakers, because I've been seeing a lot about them.
So this is what we call the MK2 series. Yep. It's 2 models out of 4 models.
Yep.
All of this stuff is like hand assembled in Berlin, Germany. They're DSP powered because they do 2 things that we couldn't really achieve in the analog circuitry world. One is that they are phase aligned, like full phase aligned in all the speakers, switchable on and off depending on what your latency requirements are.
Okay.
And secondly, something I can't really show here, but secondly, you can actually put plugs into these base ports and switch to a different setting that makes them essentially infinite baffle, like closed cabinet sounding. So you basically like have 2 speakers on one. You can pick between.
If you ported them, if you block the ports, would you then suggest using a sub with them?
It really depends what you're working on and what your like environment is, because you get the cleaner, like more puristic, minimalistic sound.
Yeah.
When you close them. At the cost of some SPL. So if you have a small studio and you don't have the requirements of really like cranking it up, then this might be well enough. But if not, we have subwoofers as well.
Okay, that's really interesting. I'm going to be in Europe the whole of the summer, so maybe I'll get a pair for you over there from my home studio in England.
Yeah, that'd be
interesting to try out. That's going to be a lot of fun because we're going to do a lot more like home studio testing there.
Yeah, that's great.
It's gorgeous. I love the look of these.
Thank you. Yeah, so this is basically like a sort of industry standard size 2-way system with a 7-inch and then a motion transformer. Three of those actually hand assembled in Berlin too by a watchmaker. And this is like a compact 3-way. This is in a way the most important speaker we do because it's compact, it's true 3-way, it has all the MK2 features, and so it can basically, because of its geometries and size, it can live in very small spaces to like pretty.
What are the crossover frequencies between here and here and here?
So usually these tweeters play to around like 2.3 kilohertz.
Okay.
And then there's a passover in these specifically at like 250 hertz.
So this is 250. So what's this handling here? So this is handling between 2.5 or 2.3. You said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'd love to hear the difference between those two.
Yeah. I mean, it really depends. Like in some cases, if you're like we're from Berlin, so there's a lot of electronic music there.
Oh, I know.
For some of these producers.
Are you going to be a super booth?
Oh yeah, of course. Super Booth is like our sort of.
I'm on the fence about flying out. I love Super Booth.
Yeah, it's a fun show. It's so vibey. Like
I was there in 2019.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah. To say electronic music is big in Berlin would be the understatement of the decade.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, Neu and Kraftwerk and Tangerine. I mean, it's.
Yeah. There's a big history there.
There's a long history. Great.
That's why we need to make subs too, because in some cases people would choose like.
Do you have subs yet?
Yeah, we have 2 subs. Like
where are they?
Yeah, good question, guys. Where are they? Yeah,
come on.
We have a really big 12-inch and an 8-inch. So,
okay, great. I want to try this out too.
Yeah,
great. Thanks for that,
Warren. It's great to see you.
Thank you. Thanks everybody. There'll be a link down below. Go and check it out. So that was the end of day 1. This is the Airbnb, by the way. James, otherwise known as James, is on the camera. And here's the team. Here's Lee, about to collapse asleep. Eric. Hello. Addy. Hello. And my beautiful wife, Kasia. We just got back from She-Rocks, by the way, which was really fantastic. Put a lot of support into that. If you can, She-Rocks is awesome. So that's the end of day 1, and join us again for day 2 coming soon. There's links down below for the giveaway, so please enter to win the giveaways and have a marvelous time recording and mixing. Thanks, so long, farewell, la wiedersehen, au revoir, adios. Look at how excited everybody is. Woo, yeah, yeah, oh.